Welcome to the English Language Institute of Singapore's podcast series on classroom inquiry. I'm Ines. In this episode, we'll be listening to Ms Han Siu Yin, Head of Department for English Language, Ms Christine Lam, and Ms Jasvinder Kaur, English language teachers at School of Science and Technology. Today, they will be talking about their inquiry into using reader roles to develop students as critical readers with Dr. Caroline Ho from ELIS.
So, Christine, what guided you in the process of crafting your inquiry question?
Well, Caroline, I first observed how my lower secondary students found critical reading of literary texts challenging. They generally faced difficulties answering inferential and evaluative questions based on given text. So I wanted to help them develop their critical reading skills. And I'm also keen to enhance students' awareness of the nuances of meaning making through the language used in literary texts.
What Christine described was actually what I noticed too. So I looked at data across all levels, analyzed students' performance in the critical reading skills section of the reading compre paper, and observed that common areas of weaknesses included answering inferential and evaluative questions. Therefore, as a team, we agreed on the inquiry focus, which is to develop critical reading skills in our students. So with that in mind, I remember attending this 96-hour professional learning program organized by ELIS and NIE for ELKPs a few years ago, prior to attending this SEAL course. I was introduced to this 4 resources model by Freebody and Luke, by Dr. Willie Renandia, one of the facilitators for the teaching reading and viewing module.
Siu Yin, what was the inquiry question that your team finally agreed on?
How does a teacher's use of selected reader roles from the 4 resources model affect lower secondary students' critical reading skills? A Sec 2 class of 30 students was identified for the intervention and learning experience phase of our inquiry, with an emphasis on reading skills over a period of 3 terms, starting from Term 1, 2023.
Jasvinder, could you tell us what else was distinctive about this classroom inquiry?
Well, Christine's differentiation in the support she provided to her students stood out. She provided scaffolding based on each group's readiness levels when they were instructed to annotate the given text using the lenses of the 4 reader roles. So, initially, she provided a series of questions based on the 4 reader roles to selected groups, while the rest were expected to craft their own questions. Over subsequent lessons, as the students became more familiar with the reader roles, Christine removed the scaffolding as the students could demonstrate that they could craft their own questions and respond to them accurately. Naturally, we had to also plan for and collect data. Some artifacts we had were the teacher-generated instructional resources, the teacher observer's notes, students' written artifacts, surveys, and reflections on their learning. All these rich artifacts gave us lots of insights into the effectiveness of our classroom inquiry project.
Christine, you played a critical role. What did you do in using the reader roles?
I had to explicitly model the crucial reading skills at the beginning. And for my demonstration of the relevant reader roles, I used the tech resource called Animaker, whereby you can choose your own avatar. My voiceover was captured as I made sense of what I was reading and thinking aloud. So verbalizing my thought process as I engaged with the texts was useful, as I was able to model strategic reading skills using the reader roles and demonstrate how to navigate the complexities of language. For example, by articulating my interpretations of word choice and discussing the implications of different language choices, my students gained a better understanding of how to critically evaluate and analyze texts on their own using the reader roles.
tell us more about the findings from the inquiry?
All right. So personally, I learned from this classroom inquiry that whatever we use in class will serve as a resource for the other teachers in the department for the future. So I feel that differentiated instruction is equally important to meet my students' needs. That is why I provided relevant scaffolding for my students. So I used sentence starters such as I notice, I feel, I observe, I think, this suggests, I'm starting to see, and so forth, which my students find useful. So these facilitated my modeling of critical reading skills for my students.
Christine, we talked about your learning. Let's now talk about the students' learning as shown through the survey findings.
But the students benefited beyond English. So one thing for sure, I know that they could apply quite confidently their critical reading skills to other subjects, such as mother tongue, science, humanities, mathematics even. And also when they read newspapers now, they are quite aware of the various perspectives on different topics, their day-to-day conversations with people they meet. They see now the value of being critically aware of issues. And it is also very heartening to see how they value teamwork and group discussions.
Christine, how has classroom inquiry impacted your knowledge, your personal beliefs, and classroom practice?
Well, I've learned that classroom inquiry is a multi-step process, which certainly requires a lot of time and patience. So it started with me being involved in the classroom inquiry, representing the secondary 2 level. I learned about the 4 resources model from Siu Yin, my boss, and over time I became convinced that it will certainly foster critical reading skills in my students. What I might do differently is that I would introduce maybe some local texts as selected short stories. What I used initially was set in contexts that were rather remote to my students for the classroom inquiry. So to say the least, participating in classroom inquiry has been an exciting and humbling experience for me.
You've just listened to the first part of an episode from the Classroom Inquiry podcast series from the English Language Institute of Singapore. In the second part, learning from Classroom Inquiry at School of Science and Technology, EL teachers' experiences and insights. The teachers from the School of Science and Technology will talk about their classroom inquiry experiences, how they support their colleagues in the department, and offer advice for others looking to embark on their own classroom inquiry journeys. To find out more about the ELIS podcast, visit go.gov.sg /ELIS podcast. Thank you for listening.